If you're seeing this now, it's because your frequency has activated an ancient calling. There are 5 lessons revealed by the 3 initiates that only appear when the soul is ready, and each one has the power to reprogram your vibrational field on a deep level. But pay attention. These lessons weren't made for everyone. They were left only for those who have started to feel that the world isn't just what it seems. If you stick around until the end, you'll understand why your reality hasn't changed yet, and what needs to happen inside you for everything out there to start responding. Are you ready? The mind, as well as metals and elements, may be transmuted from state to state, from degree to degree, from condition to condition, from pole to pole, from vibration to vibration. The Kybalion. Before any book, before any doctrine, there was only one code, not written on paper, but on stone. The Emerald Tablet. It was there that Hermes Trismegistus carved the foundations of reality, not with long explanations, with short phrases, almost surgical precision, as if each word carried a vibration powerful enough to reorganize the entire universe. And it did, because what he left behind wasn't an ordinary text, it was a map that can only be read with a different frequency. Centuries later, 3 initiates took that essence and translated it in a way that could be understood by those who were ready. That's how the Kybalion was born. A book that seems simple at first glance, but only truly reveals itself when the reader begins to change from within. That's why it wasn't made to be understood. It was made to be lived. There's no point in memorizing phrases. What's in there isn't content for the mind. It's activation for the field. That's why so many people read it, but don't feel it. Study it, but don't awaken. Because the secret isn't in the words. It's in the vibration behind them. Hermetic language was created to escape censorship, persecution, distortion. It doesn't hand over the gold. It hides the gold inside you. Each principle revealed there is like a key, but those keys only work when you stop trying to understand everything with your mind and start feeling with your soul. That's why the true seeker doesn't look for answers. They listen to what the silence of the tablet is saying. And when they listen, they're never the same again, because they realize nothing needs to be added. The truth was already inside them the whole time. They just need to remember. And that's the moment when something starts to break open inside. Because when you come into contact with that vibrational truth, everything that once seemed solid starts to feel strange, as if the reality you always knew wasn't all that real. As if there were a veil, an invisible filter between what you see and what actually is. The ancients knew this. Hermes recorded in the Corpus Hermeticum that humanity's greatest prison isn't outside. It's not in bars, not in governments, it's inside. And it has a name: ignorance. Not ignorance of information, but of identity. Because as long as you believe you are only the body, the thoughts, the social roles, you're asleep. The soul sleeps. And when the soul sleeps, the world of the senses becomes all there is. You start identifying with what you see in the mirror, with your bank account, with what others say, and that's how the veil gets stronger. You start living in reaction mode, like a reflection, reacting to fear, reacting to criticism, reacting to lack. Reacting to the past, but none of that is you. You just forgot who you are. And that forgetting is the real prison, because as long as you're disconnected from your vibrational nature, you'll keep trying to change the outer world with outer tools, and nothing changes. The illusion feeds on that effort. It wants you to keep looking for answers on the outside, while what's keeping you stuck is what you refuse to face on the inside. The truth is, the world isn't limiting you. It's your own perception that built the walls, and the key to getting out was never breaking the wall down. It was remembering that it doesn't even exist, and that's when everything starts to make sense. Because when you tear that veil, when ignorance gives way to awareness, something emerges that the ancients called recognition. You don't learn, you activate, and at that moment, 5 codes begin to reveal themselves. 5 keys left by the initiates. They're not theories, They're not beliefs. They're vibrational mechanisms that were hidden, just waiting for your frequency to align. If you made it this far, it's because you're ready to remember. Now it's time to open those doors, one by one. Lesson 1. Everything vibrates. Reality is condensed energy. 5 keys, 5 vibrational codes. They weren't created to convince anyone. They exist to activate those who have already started to remember. And the first key is this: everything vibrates. The universe isn't made of things, it's made of frequencies. What you call matter is just energy moving slowly. Slowed down vibration. The chair you're sitting on, the body you're in, the thought running through your mind right now. It's all vibration. Nothing is still. Nothing is static. Everything pulses. As it's written in the Kybalion, nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. This is one of the foundations of Hermetic wisdom, known as the principle of vibration. And when you understand that, something deep inside you starts to shift. Because you realize you don't have to keep trying to control everything out there. You begin to notice that the reality you're living is a direct response to the frequency you're putting out. If everything is vibration, then everything responds. It's not magic. It's subtle physics. You can move to another city, switch houses, change jobs. But if your vibration stays the same, everything you attract will carry the same energy in a different form. It's like leaving a toxic place, but still carrying anger, fear, insecurity. You leave the setting, but the frequency goes with you. And guess what? The reality you find out there will repeat the same pattern. Because you didn't change the field. The Kybalion also emphasizes the difference between manifestations of the all, whether material, mental, or spiritual, is chiefly due to varying rates of vibration. In other words, everything you perceive as solid or subtle is just vibrating at different speeds. Real change doesn't start with action. It starts with vibrational adjustment, and that's found in the little things, in the sound you listen to, in the space you live in the way you breathe. Want to change your life? Then change what you vibrate. Start with your environment. Pick a spot in your home. Clean it, clear the clutter, light some incense, play harmonic sounds, let that space breathe with you. Then, for 3 days, sit there for a few minutes and say out loud, "Everything vibrates, and I'm tuning in to what I desire." Don't say it like a prayer. Say it like someone declaring a frequency. And finally, write on a piece of paper. How can I align with the energy of what I want to experience? Don't expect instant answers, but pay attention. They'll come. Lesson 2. You attract what you vibrate, not what you want. And when you change what you vibrate, you start to notice something else. It's not desire that shapes your reality. It's your frequency. You can wish for peace, love, prosperity, but if you're vibrating fear, doubt, or scarcity, that's what the field will reflect back. Not because the universe is against you, but because it works like a vibrational mirror. The Kybalion explains it clearly. The difference between various manifestations of matter, energy, mind, and spirit is largely due to varying rates of vibration. In other words, everything you experience, from your relationships to your emotional state, is directly connected to the level of vibration you maintain, even without realizing it. You can say you want love, but if you vibrate lack, you'll attract absence. You can say you want abundance, but if you vibrate scarcity, you'll attract blockages. You can say you want peace, but if you're constantly reacting, you'll keep creating chaos. And all of this happens because your energy field sends out a silent message to the universe, and that's the message it hears. It's not what you think, it's not what you say, it's what you vibrate. And the field only responds to coherence. When what you want is out of sync with what you feel, you create noise, and noise doesn't manifest. Let me share a short story with you that shows exactly how this works. In a forest hidden among mountains, there lived an otter named Dira. Dira dreamed of finding a spring of crystal clear water where she could live in peace. Every day, she would walk for hours, dig through bushes, search for signs, and dig in a hurry. But all she ever found were muddy puddles and dry creeks. Frustrated, she started blaming the forest. She thought life was unfair, that she'd never be as lucky as the other animals. Oh, this isn't possible. I want this so badly. Why does it never happen? She repeated to herself every day. Until one night, exhausted, she came across an old turtle named Meru, resting by a moss-covered stone. Meru listened to her silently, with the calm look of someone who's seen everything and isn't surprised by anything, and asked, "When you're searching for that spring, what do you feel inside?" Dyra answered without thinking, "Anxiety, fear of not finding it, anger from trying so hard and coming up with nothing." The turtle smiled. "What if you're looking for the reflection of what's inside you, not a place outside?" "What do you mean by that?" "When the heart is murky, the water hides. When your vibration is desperate, the path shifts." That night, Dyra didn't walk. She didn't search. She didn't complain. She just sat and gave thanks for the water she had once found, even if it was just a little. For the forest, for the silence, for life. Something changed. The next morning, without effort, she followed a different path. It wasn't the shortest or the safest, but it felt light. There was the spring. Crystal clear water flowing between rocks, hidden the whole time. Not by the forest, but by the frequency she had been searching with. Because it's not the search that reveals, it's the vibration that tunes in. Now, let's step out of the fable and look at your real life. Maybe you've been searching for something for years, a new love, a sense of purpose, a financial breakthrough. And maybe, just like Dyra, you're doing everything right on the surface, vibrating anxiety, comparison, lack, frustration, and the field picks that up as your energetic signature. So here are a few simple but powerful practices to help you start realigning your vibration with what you want to experience. List 3 situations you want to change in your life right now. Be specific. It could be, I want an easygoing relationship. I want more money. I want emotional health. Ask yourself, what am I really vibrating when I think about this? Pause for a few minutes. Feel it. Your body will respond. If you feel tightness in your chest, a knot in your stomach, or a negative thought pops up, that's part of what you're sending out. Rewrite these situations as coherent vibrational affirmations. But heads up, this isn't about faking it. It's about recalibrating your language to train the field. Example, instead of, I want peace, write, I hold the vibration of peace, even in the silence. Instead of, I want to be valued, I vibrate self-worth, and that organizes the relationships around me. Create a presence ritual. Every day for 7 minutes, close your eyes and feel in your body the emotion you want to attract. Want lightness? Breathe as if you're already light. Want abundance? Walk around your home with the posture of someone who already has it. Want love? Feel that love as if it's already flowing through you right now. Monitor your impulses. Every time you notice yourself slipping back into complaining, comparing, blaming, or doubting, stop, breathe, and say, this is no longer in resonance with what I'm building. You don't need to vibrate high all the time, but you do need to consciously choose the frequency you want to maintain, because the universe doesn't respond to what you ask for. It responds to the frequency you confirm. Lesson 3. Emotions are vibrational commands. And if frequency is what defines what you experience, there's one factor that drives that frequency even more powerfully than your thoughts, emotions. What you feel is the code the universe understands with the most precision. You can say you trust, but if inside you're vibrating fear, what the field picks up is the frequency of fear. You can repeat prosperity mantras all day long, but if your dominant emotion is worry about debt, that's the vibration that will show up. And this isn't mysticism, it's energy physics. Studies have already proven that the heart emits an electromagnetic field much larger than the brain. That's why what you feel has more impact than what you think. The Kybalion hits this exact point when it says, thought alone has no power of creation, unless it is energized by a strong desire and by emotion. In other words, emotion is the fuel of vibration. It's the tone behind the note, the intention behind the word, the field behind the form. That's why so many people read books, take courses, repeat affirmations, but stay stuck in the same situations because your vibration doesn't change with information. It changes with your inner state, with real feeling. And this isn't about toxic positivity, pretending everything's fine when it's not. It's about emotional presence, about knowing what you're feeling and consciously directing it. You want abundance? Then you need to stop feeding guilt every time you spend money. You want love? Then you need to heal the resentment that's still silently vibrating. You want lightness? Then you need to release the weight that doesn't speak, but vibrates. Because your frequency doesn't respond to what you fake. It responds to what you truly hold. Let me give you a simple example. You say you want to thrive, but every time a bill shows up, you feel tightness in your chest, anger, fear. You might be repeating, I am prosperous, but the field is picking up, I'm in panic. And the vibration that wins is always the one charged with the strongest emotion. So how do you change that? Start where the vibration is born, in the body. Pick an elevated emotion. It could be gratitude, it could be love, it could be peace. But pick one you can feel easily, without forcing it. For 5 minutes a day, just feel that emotion. Don't think about it. Feel it. Put on some soft music. Place your hand on your chest. Breathe deeply and repeat silently. My field is being reprogrammed now. You're teaching your body to feel before you see, because the vibration has to come before the change, not after. And every time you fall into an emotional conflict, stop and ask, is this emotion bringing me closer to or pulling me away from what I want to experience? If it's pulling you away, breathe. Get quiet. Redirect. Over time, you'll realize that you can't always avoid what you feel, but you can choose what you keep feeding. And that choice changes everything. Because when emotion becomes conscious, it stops controlling you and starts serving you. Lesson 4. Outer disharmony reveals inner misalignment. And the more you start aligning with conscious emotions, the more you begin to see the effects of that alignment in the world around you. But the opposite is also true. If chaos is taking over your outer reality, it's because something inside you has fallen out of center. The disorder on the outside is just a reflection of the imbalance on the inside. And this isn't punishment. It's vibrational precision. The universe doesn't punish. It simply reflects. Kybalion describes this principle when it says rhythm is compensation. Everything leans towards balance. Everything returns to the point of origin. The swing between extremes is natural, but the true master is the one who learns to remain conscious even in motion. That's why, when life feels messy, the answer is never to force more. It's to center yourself. If you're in conflict with someone, take a look. Are you trying to control, convince, be right? If you're always tired, burned out, unfocused, could it be that you're trying to do too much to avoid an inner emptiness? If the same problem keeps showing up, maybe it's not repeated bad luck, but a vibrational pattern that's still active. Harmony isn't created by effort. It emerges when the excess dissolves. When you stop pushing life, it starts to flow. But for that, you have to observe yourself. Check out this example. You're constantly clashing with your family. Frequent arguments, constant tension, heavy silences, and you feel like the victim. But little by little, you begin to notice that you're reacting on autopilot. You get defensive, raise your voice, try to explain everything. The energy you want is peace, but the energy you're vibrating is resistance. And that creates a vibrational short circuit that the universe returns in the form of more conflict. The way out isn't to change the other person, it's to reclaim your center. And that starts in the body. Create an internal space of neutrality. 1 minute is enough to shift the field. The next time you feel like you're about to explode, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and say, I choose not to react right now. I return to my center. That simple act of presence breaks the pattern, and every time you choose not to react, you deactivate a piece of the chaos. Write it down. Notice the moments when you lose your center the most. Is it in traffic? In conversations with certain people? When you feel ignored? These moments aren't weaknesses. They're portals to reconnection. Now choose one daily action that reconnects you. It could be walking in silence, listening to a mantra, drinking tea with full attention, lighting a candle, and simply watching the flame. Small rituals done with intention have the power to reorganize your vibrational field, because it's not force that creates stability, it's awareness. And when you begin to hold that awareness, even in the middle of turbulence, something magical happens. The chaos dissolves, not because it disappeared out there, but because it stopped being fed in here. Lesson 5. The inner fire that transforms. And as you stabilize your center, something starts bubbling beneath the surface. A heat. It's not discomfort, but it's not calm either. It's an inner movement that burns silently. And the more you observe, the more you realize there's a fire inside you. It's not anger. It's not urgency. It's not pain. It's raw power. That fire is the invisible agent of transmutation. In ancient alchemy, it was called ignisaka, the sacred fire. Not the fire that destroys out of revenge, but the fire that transmutes by essence. It's the same fire the ancients symbolized in Hermetic furnaces. Not to melt physical metals, but to dissolve the heavy metals of the soul. Fear, attachment, pride, self-sabotage. All of these dense elements need to pass through this fire so they can be transformed into consciousness. The Kybalion says, the true mental transmuter is the one who knows how to use the higher forces to master the lower. And what does that mean? That true transmutation happens when you consciously activate your inner strength to raise the vibrational patterns that are keeping you trapped. But this process isn't gentle. It's not pretty. It's not easy. Because fire doesn't caress. It burns. But it only burns what needs to go. You know when everything starts going wrong all at once? That job ends. The relationship collapses. Your health gets shaky. Your mind spirals. At first glance, it feels like punishment, injustice, ruin. But in reality, it's the start of the internal combustion, the end of the old self. Because everything that's out of alignment with your deeper truth starts to fall apart when the fire awakens. And no matter how hard you try to control it, avoid it, resist it, the fire doesn't back down because it's not here to please. It's here to set you free. That fire isn't external. It's born from your own vibrational field when the soul decides it can't stay small any longer, and it lights up even more intensely when expansion becomes inevitable. That's why suffering, even though it hurts, is often the fuel. Not because you have to suffer to grow, but because it's in the collapse of illusions that the fire finds space to burn what no longer serves. The attachment to old versions of yourself. The need for external validation, emotional dependency, the image you built to be accepted. All of that becomes fuel for the sacred fire. And the more you try to put it out, the more it spreads. But if you stop fighting, stop running, and choose to face it head on, then it starts doing what it was born to do: purify. And there, in the middle of the heat, clarity rises. After the pain, rebirth, and after the loss, what was always waiting? The real you. This process is what the ancients called solve et coagula. Dissolve to reorganize, burn to refine, let go to be reborn. And this cycle doesn't happen just once. It happens every time you're ready to take the next leap in consciousness. The good news, you can choose to work with the fire, guide that transmutation, speed up the process of release, and after the fire does its work and burns away everything that no longer resonates with who you're becoming, what's left is what's essential. What's left is the clean field, the pure energy, the living presence. And in that state, you start to feel something that was around you the whole time, but now it pulses in a completely new way. The earth, not as a place, but as a being. Hermes taught that everything that exists vibrates, including the planet we live on. And more than that, the earth responds. Every thought, every intention, every frequency you hold directly impacts the planet's vibrational field. And in the same way, what you feel, absorb, or repeat in your daily life is deeply influenced by Earth's field. But that connection was forgotten. Over time, we started living on the earth, not with it. We walk on the ground without touching it. We breathe the air without noticing. We surround ourselves with concrete, screens, artificial noise, and rhythms that don't belong to our natural cycle. And the more we disconnect from nature, the more our frequency gets out of tune. The result? Anxiety without a cause, exhaustion without reason, loss of purpose, a sense of disconnection. But the truth is, it wasn't the earth that pulled away. It was us. And all it takes is a small step back for her to welcome us again. Because she never abandoned us. The earth pulses, and if you quiet down for a moment, you'll feel it. You'll notice that the trees aren't just there, they're listening. That the wind doesn't blow randomly, it cleanses. That the river doesn't just flow, it carries away what no longer serves. Have you noticed how your body changes when you're in nature? How your breathing slows down? How your mind clears? How your heart seems to remember who you are? That's not psychological, it's vibrational. The Earth has a living electromagnetic field. It pulses at a frequency called the Schumann resonance. And when your body connects with that field, it starts realigning with your origin. The Kybalion says, "He who understands the principle of correspondence is able to harmonize all planes of existence." The micro reflects the macro. What's in you is in the Earth. What vibrates in the Earth vibrates in you. And when that tuning happens, everything changes. You start to feel like you don't need to try so hard, because nature starts nudging you in the right direction. It guides you not with words, but with signs, with flow, with rhythm. That's why, to raise your frequency, there's no point in running away from the world. You need to walk with the earth. Before you go, just a heads up. For those who want to go deeper and dive further into this knowledge, I've made the full book available. If you feel this is your path, it's waiting for you. And if this content touched you and you want to help this channel grow and share this message with more people, there's a direct way to contribute. You'll find the link right here. Every bit of support vibrates, expands, and transforms. I truly thank you for vibrating with me up to this point. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, keep your frequency where truth can find you.